Leveling is a core part of Diablo 4, whether it's your main, your ults, or helping out a friend, it's a key part of the game is to get that sweet XP and level all the way up. So today we're going to go through some best leveling methods, especially for your ult classes. Let's go! Let me know how you're leveling your ults in the comments below. So first, let's talk about a key decision you've got to make. After you finish your campaign with one character, you will have this option to skip the campaign on your ult. Now, this is a big decision, and whether you're doing it at characterization or from the main menu a little bit later, it will wipe all of the main story quests from your quest log. Now, this will just dump you in Kyovashad if you start from a new character with all the main town sort of waypoints unlocked. You'll have your mount unlocked, which even if you have just done that quest on another character, you'll have your mount unlocked anyway at the very start of the game. And at this point, once you've skipped the campaign, you'll have the Tree of Whispers unlocked, whereas if you don't skip, you won't have it unlocked. You will still have all side quests and all that other content available to you. It's just all those main quests will be completely gone. So the big question is, should you skip it? Now, the main campaign is about, 30-ish hours long, and it sends you like all across the map, and there's some guaranteed good like legendary loot drops as well as the unique ring at the end of the campaign. Plus, main story quests give a ton of XP for completion. However, you should skip it. Now, this might seem counterintuitive because of how the main story quest gives you all of that XP and the unique gear, but the thing it really is that during the main quest, there is a lot of downtime where you are just kind of doing nothing, like waiting for, NPCs to walk over and do something, or just fighting like general trash mobs, and that's not even if you don't skip the cutscenes, right? If you watch all those cutscenes again, it's definitely going to increase that amount of time. If you're simply just looking to level up, it's much more efficient to not do the main story. Like, you can skip that and not have to worry about any of that content and just go out there and grind through like Tree of Whispers quests or dungeons, or just like play with your friends and just like have a good time with them. There's a lot more things that you can do out there, especially because you've got those waypoints unlocked. You're not just like stuck in that first area of the map, which definitely help. So yes, skipping the campaign is the main thing you should do here. Whether you're starting that from a brand new character or from a character that you've already created, you can skip the campaign and absolutely do it. If you're just solely looking to level and not experience the story again, you can still group with people in that way. So a key thing is really about getting experience. Now, one of the main things to increase how many experience points you get for killing monsters is just simply by your world tier. The higher the world tier, the more experience you'll get. Obviously, the higher the world tier, the harder enemies will be. But outside of that, elixirs will give you a 5% increase. It doesn't matter what elixir you equipped, it just gives you a 5% increase for 30 seconds. And the key one, other than that, is really your friends. And just having friends with you will give you an XP buff for being near other players and being in a party. And I mean, they can also help you power level, right? Like, if you've got friends that are like super high level, then they can just like power level ults for you. But first you've got to find friends and then convince them to do it. It's a whole rigmarole. But if you're just doing it solo, then it's much easier to just do it by these methods and maybe just group up with people in sort of group content that you do see if you're looking for that sort of a thing. Now, the crux of this video is the best leveling methods and ways that you can level. So I've been experimenting with different things of how to level up and just kind of figuring out sort of experience gains for like various things over the last sort of day or so while I've been leveling my sorcerer and a couple of other classes. But most dungeons will give you about 1 level per run, depending on what level you're actually at, like when you're entering the dungeon, right? The higher levels, that obviously takes longer. Lower levels, you might get a little bit more, but on average, generally, it's like 1-ish level. And my biggest suggestion here in terms of these dungeons to focus on is the Grim Favor dungeons for the Tree of Whispers. So if you have started as a character that you've skipped the campaign and you've got the Tree of Whispers Grim Favors unlocked, doing these favors is hugely beneficial. So you go to those dungeons and you get all that experience and gear and drops and everything from doing the dungeon. Then once you have completed enough favors, you go back to the Tree of Whispers, you get a huge meaty chunk of experience, almost about the same you would get from like a main story quest, more or less, from actually the Tree of Whispers. So you'll get the experience from the 2 dungeons you did if you just went and did 2 dungeons to get to 10 favors, and then you get that experience gain from the Tree of Whispers. Now, that's not all you get. Like, you get the experience plus you get a cache, and weapon caches are really beneficial, especially lower levels where you're leveling, because your main like buffs to your farming speed and being able to kill things quicker really just like straight up comes from your weapon damage while you're like leveling up. So being able to like get these caches that can randomly drop you like just solid weapons all the time is hugely valuable. Like, I would highly recommend to grab the weapon caches or like the chaos caches, because they just give you like a couple of random items. But when you're doing these, definitely do that and focus on the Tree of Whispers, right? Dungeons is definitely the most efficient way, but there are like other quests that you can do that are like sort of in the open world. If you're wondering about side quests, I think that they're kind of worth it, but kind of not, right? So they're definitely worth doing for the region progress, like absolutely, because, you know, that definitely helps for Paragon levels later on, as well as, you know, getting that extra XP just for like leveling up your region progress and that sort of thing. But is it really worth doing? Like I've been doing them as I've been out exploring. Like say if I'm doing some open world favors and there's a quest in that area, I'll do the quest at the same time. But I personally wouldn't say like grinding side quests is the most efficient way to get your like level up, because you get such a low amount of experience for just completing a side quest. And they often send you on these like big extravagant journeys, or, you know, some of them send you to dungeons, which is really good, but some of them just send you off to some Joe Blow in the middle of nowhere to hand him an item, and it's not really worth that time investment if you're just solely looking to level up. Now, I know that there are as well like specific dungeons out there that people swear by, and they've just been like farming them like all day, like, you know, the Dead Man's Dredge, and there's a few others out there. But look, for me personally, and just like what I would suggest to you, and just the way that I feel about sort of grinding games, is to mix up the content that I'm doing, right? So that's why personally I think that the Grim Favors method of being able to just go and do different dungeons to get like Grim Favors, or even just do the open world Grim Favors events, right? Like that's just different sort of content that you can do while still feeling like you're progressing and not getting stuck in just like, you know, all right, I'm just going to grind this one dungeon for 4 hours. Like I've never found that enjoyable in games, and I just like to enjoy myself. Like, you know, we're playing these games to enjoy ourselves, right? Like not just get our levels up, you know what I mean? So doing that content in a fun way that is still actually progressing you at a relatively quick speed is what I personally prefer and would definitely recommend, rather than just like focusing on, say, doing one dungeon. But for me, the general flow really is that I've been doing, say, one dungeon and then a couple of like the open world favors as they're sort of near each other, because often, you know, in those different zones, the open world favors that are just like, you know, kill 75 of X enemy or collect some essence, that sort of thing, and even do, you know, a cellar, they're often very close to each other, and you can sort of get 5 of the favors very quickly and then just go and pop off and do another dungeon, and then you can go hand into the Tree of Whispers, get your weapon cache, and whatever cache you do get, if it's not a weapon cache, you know, equip that gear, salvage everything else, and then you go back in the world. I found a really good balance to that rhythm of being able to do that. And then if I'm, you know, in like such a dungeon mood, I'll just go and like do 2 dungeons, especially if they're in a zone that, you know, isn't one of the higher level zones, because as you're leveling up and you might have access to all the zones to be able to go to them, some of them are definitely higher level zones because of just that level scaling. They don't scale down low enough. So just be careful and like make sure you're checking to see what level like the favors are, as they'll all show on your map and they'll have like that level indicator. Whereas if you do like the campaign, that level indicator is typically fine, like, you know, because you're sort of leveling as you were going through the zones. Whereas as this, you've got access to all the zones, so you can like accidentally land in like a higher level zone and not realize. So just be mindful of that and make sure that you're checking. But simply the best method is by doing the dungeons that have the favors for the Tree of Whispers and just grinding those out. That'll definitely give you the most bang for your buck, plus the gear that you get from that, plus the experience from the Tree of Whispers. It's definitely the most efficient way that I have found, other than just like farming like those specific dungeons that people love to farm. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.